Okay, let's have a little look at this movement. So everything that we can see here from that left hand, that's my left hand going, reaching down and round to my right foot on the floor there. So if we have a little look again here, so as we come, and that was my start position there, I put the little dots on, and then we come down, and it's here we're looking at that movement. So if we, and it's important that we decide which part of the movement we're coming from because it will change. So I think the first part of the movement that we can see is that left shoulder. And as that humerus is coming down, everything's coming down round to the right, and the pelvis is going back and down. So in that left shoulder, we're feeling flexion in the sagittal plane. That gap is getting bigger. We're getting abduction in that frontal plane and getting internal rotation. Just have a look at the thumb on there as well. Then if we look at the torso, the spine is flexing. We've got a left lateral flexing and a right rotating. So then I think the next one that we'll be looking at is the right shoulder. So in that right shoulder, you can see the arm, the humerus is going back. So it's extending. I think it's coming closer there. So we're getting that gap is closing. So we're getting adducting. And the thumb at the back there is internally rotating. So if we now come down to the hip, let's go with the left hip first. So that left hip is coming around. So it's right rotating, left tilting. And so we're feeling flexing, abducting, and externally rotating in that hip. So in the right hip, as we come down, it's still right rotating, left tilting, and we're getting flexing, but this time the gap is getting closer in that frontal plane. Could argue that at the end there, so depending on which point, if we're going here, but you can see there my knee actually spins out slightly, so that would be a debatable moment here, but we're getting flexion, adduction, and internal rotation. Incidentally, as my knee comes out, it's bailing off that glute, then that comes back in, kicks in there to kick me back. Okay, so the next one we're going to be looking at is the left knee. So in that left knee, as I come down, we can see that that humerus is going posterior and the tib fib are going anterior, and so we're getting flexing in that knee. You can see it's a slightly Elvis Presley knee, so as it comes here, so that gap on the inside of that knee, you get the Elvis Presley knee, abduction, and the whole of the internet go wild, and we get external rotation. And then in the right knee, we're getting flexion, and again, depending on which point of movement we're going to argue over. So let's go there for sake, so we don't change our minds. We're going to go for flexion, adduction. Oh, there's that adduction there, big time, and internal rotation. And that would be due to what's happening at the foot. Now, on the bringing us to the ankle, on that left foot, as I come round, I just need to get my clicker. I'm getting dorsiflexion, which means that I have to get eversion and abduction. And in that right ankle, I'm getting plantar flexion, inversion, and adduction. And on my left foot, that's going to be dorsiflexion, abduction, inversion. I should put that in the right order. Dorsiflexion, eversion, because it changes that plane of motion, and abduction. Do you spot the mistake there? So that left foot is going into dorsiflexion, and that will actually be inversion in that frontal plane, which takes it into transverse plane, and then we get abduction because it feels the opposite due to the speed of those bones. And in the right foot, we've got plantar flexion, everting, and abduction. So let's have a little look at that in full speed. So that means that in the left shoulder, we were seeing the humerus go forwards, down, left, posterior. It had a right tilt and a left rotation, and that would get the posterior delts and the teres, minor and major, and lats. And then we have the torso. So in the torso, what we're actually seeing, what we're looking for, was we're looking at that spine, and it's going forward, down, and it's going right, anterior, left tilt, right rotation. And that would be getting all of those core muscles. And then the next one that we're looking at would be the left hip. So in that left hip, we said that we were getting flexing, abducting, and external rotation. And we're seeing, let's just whiz that back, we're seeing the pelvis go back, down, right, right anterior, left tilting, right rotating. And that's going to be getting those adductors. And this brings us then to the left knee. So the left knee is going to be, we said that the left knee was flexing, abducting, externally rotating. And we're looking at that femur, and that's going back, right, right rotation. And the fib is going right, anterior, right rotation. And the right knee, that would be the quads, that would be getting the quads, by the way. And that right knee, we'd be getting the femur going back, right, posterior, right rotation, and tibia, forward, right, anterior, right rotation. And now we're going to go into that left ankle. So with that left ankle, as it comes round, we can see that tib fib is going anterior, and we would think that that calcaneus will be going anterior. So they're going in opposite directions, and we're going to be getting the calcaneus tilting right and rotating right. And that would be anterior tibularis. And then we go into the left, the right ankle. So in the right ankle, we're feeling that plantar flexion, that inverting and that abducting. And here we'd be getting, the calcaneus would be going right and tilt and right rotation. Then we move on to the left midfoot. And so if that calcaneus is going right, that forefoot's going to be right tilt, right rotation. That's going to get the peroneals, that little muscle at the side from that knee down to that foot. That slows down everting. And on the right foot, we're also getting that forefoot right tilt and right rotation. So hopefully from that, you can have a go at filling out that sheet and see if you agree or disagree. And I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.